So I had made my first 2 movies with Caribbean Films, and Harry Money, the owner of Caribbean, had been so kind and helpful. He flew my husband and I back out to California so that we could see how the film was being edited and learn the editing process. It took about 6, maybe 9 months to get the film completely done and ready to be released. Well, this business kind of imitated the Hollywood big movie business. We had a premiere, a regular opening, like the big movies do. We had the red carpet and the limousines and the big spotlight and all of that. And we did it in New York City. So we were flown out there. They had all of these beautiful women in these scantily clothed outfits, looking just beautiful, serving hors d'oeuvres, huge balloon display, just amazing stuff. And I got to meet some of the New York people who were involved in that business, like Tiffany Clark and Fred Lincoln. I wanted to meet Vanessa Del Rio, but unfortunately I never got the pleasure. But one of the people that I met at this really amazing opening was Robin Byrd. And I had never heard about Robin Byrd. I didn't know what the Robin Byrd show was. I had no idea. I'd never been to New York City. I mean, I'd been there once before, but not in this capacity. I wanted to audition for Broadway plays and musicals. That never happened. Long story, another video. Anyway, as we're getting out of the limo, all of these photographers from the different magazines and everything are snapping pictures. I mean, I felt like a real star. It was amazing, quite a head trip. And the next thing I know, Robin Byrd and her photographer come up to me, and she shoves a microphone in my face and says, "Is this your first time in New York? What do you think about this? Are you excited to see your movie?" And I was like, this is amazing. What is this? You know, and I answered her questions, and she said, "I'm Robin Byrd. We're New York's best kept secret." I'm like, oh, okay. And I thought that was so cool. New York's best kept secret. What a wonderful tagline, you know, because I had never heard of it. Well, it turns out Robin Byrd's show was only seen on Manhattan Cable Channel J. So if you weren't in Manhattan, if you were in some other borough, you couldn't see it. But the people in Manhattan could see it. And her show went on for years and years. And I came back to New York many times. That first time I was there, I stayed for 3 months. I was only supposed to be there for 2 weeks. I was doing a show in between my movies. I was dancing and doing the question and answer session, all of that, in between the showing of my movies. And this was supposed to go on for 2 weeks. Well, my movies were playing to packed houses, so they were held over. And then they were held over again, and then they were held over again. So I ended up staying in New York for 3 months, I think it was. And while I was there, Robin Byrd invited me to be on her show. So I went down to the studio and I saw how she did the show. She was quite an entertainer of her own. You know, I've got a couple albums out of my own music. She had a song called Baby Let Me Bang Your Box. It was about playing the piano. You know, baby, let me bang your box, play those 88s. 88 keys on a keyboard, right? So she was amazing and quite a wonderful person. I mean, very sweet, very kind. And I often wonder what's going on with her, how she's doing nowadays. But through the years, as I'd go back to New York every time, I would do the Robin Byrd show. And it was always a good experience, you know. I got to know other people in New York, got to know Tiffany Clark better, and at the time she was married to Fred Lincoln, got to know him pretty well. Wonderful people. And, you know, a lot of people, New York kind of has a bad rap. Some people might say that New Yorkers are cold or that they're fast-paced or that they really don't care about other people. I did not find any of that to be true. I found all these people to be really nice, just really good, nice, good-hearted people. Even the guy who managed Show World, when I would dance at Show World, he was really into poetry. He would always share his poems with me and my husband. And I remember one 4th of July in particular, when he invited us to go to his condo and watch the fireworks on the Hudson. It was an amazing display. And, he had a really high, place that he was staying there. So you got a very good look. It was like the fireworks were like eye level. It was pretty cool. But I really enjoyed my time there. And that opening of that movie, The Young Like It Hot, was amazing. I really had no idea that they were going to go through all of this trouble with the girls, who were there to serve the hors d'oeuvres and the big display with all the balloons and everything, all of the limousines and the photographers. It was pretty amazing. It was like being in a real Hollywood movie. And of course, they don't do that kind of stuff anymore, because back then, they would just make a handful of movies per month. When I left the business, they were cranking out 300 and 400 movies a month. So, and back then we were shooting on 35 millimeter and 35 millimeter Panavision. I know a lot of people talk about the 16 millimeter days. I didn't get into any of that. I never did anything other than 35 millimeter, full-length feature films, until, the advent of the video camera and all of that. But way back in the day, they really made a big deal out of it. And it was pretty amazing and very impressive. And when the movies got done with their run there in New York, and I no longer was performing, I still stayed, because there were a bunch of magazines that did their shooting for their girls in New York City. So I posed for a bunch of photographers in the New York studios for the New York magazines, just as I had done in California for those magazines. So I got to see both coasts and experience a little bit of the New York scene, which was really kind of exciting and fun. I really personally prefer California, not only because of the weather, but I'm not a big city kind of girl. I'm more of a farm girl. So more wide open spaces, more nature, that's my kind of thing. The tall buildings and the concrete, not really my style. But the people were very nice, and it was quite a unique experience, very fascinating.